Hi, welcome to valuationpodcast.com, a podcast and video series about all things related to business and valuation. My name is Melissa Gragg, and I provide online divorce, mediation, and valuation services in St. Louis, Missouri. Today, we will discuss turning disrupted leaders into a disruptive force with Michael Teape. Since 1994, Mike has been conducting business and personal effectiveness design and delivery training. He's been coaching, training the trainers, and developing training strategy for a wide spectrum of clients. He works for global corporations, leading training firms, and universities, as well as small and middle market businesses. I also wonder if, because I didn't really put a home office together uh immediately, right? I mean, and even then it was like stages. It was like the first time was just like something makeshift because like this is going to end and we're all going to go back to normal. And then I had to kind of double down and actually like buy a desk and like not just work off of the table in the basement. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, there's a
And
moment about
I
6 months in.
yeah. But I think what it also kind of made me realize is that if I didn't try to integrate it, if I didn't as a leader try to see how it would work, and what were the difficulties, what were the benefits and all of that, um, I wouldn't quite understand the benefit of it. And I wouldn't understand. So, what behaviors should leaders kind of do in order to continue to be the disruptor instead of the disrupted? And I feel like in some cases they have to experience
Yeah,
it. But what else
you have
should
to
we be
feel
doing?
it. You have
Yeah.
to feel if if you are already fairly calm, you're probably doing a lot of these already.
Okay.
So one, you got to think about a number of different areas, and I think that being blind to the problems is someone being disrupted. Being curious about the environment we're in, and maybe a little bit like, wow, this is different, um, is a way of helping to unlock the brain. So the first one is don't be blind to your problem. Is just say, look, there is a problem. We need to start working on it. That's the first thing. That's kind of your activator. And I have a very good friend of mine, um, and he is an entrepreneur. He's a very highly intelligent person. He builds mainframe systems and creates things that I didn't even know were possible or even needed to be in the digital world. And when we sat down outside early on in the pandemic around a fire, we would catch up and talk business. You know what he said to me? He said, "Oh, this is exciting, isn't it?" He said, "We're the first people to live through a pandemic in 100 years." And he was genuinely excited. Wow, I wonder what's going to happen. And I said, "Well, easy." And he said, "Well, come on, I'm not about to roam the streets or do anything erratic." But he said, "My family's, think about it. My family's safe. Um, but this is cool. That's what's going to happen. Yeah, is work going to change forever?" And that's just who he is. So he's
Hmm.
naturally a disruptor. And we need to help people by using their routines in their corporate structure to achieve that level of, wow, this is cool. Um,
Mm.
um, and it's curiosity, it's excitement about the unknown. So people need to do a couple of things. One is to focus on their purpose as a leader in the organization. What is our purpose? Or if you're running the business, what's the purpose we want to achieve? Okay, how are we going to do that? Have some ambition. Big hairy goals. That doesn't go away. Have like, yeah, we still want to do this, but how are we going to do it? So the bigger the goal, the more innovation has to happen.
Hmm.
It's a bit like you could set yourself, well, I only expect 5% growth because it's COVID right now. Yeah, okay. Is that really going to help someone be a disruptor? No,
No.
they're just going to do what they've done before, make it a little bit more efficient, a bit of tweaking, and maybe they get 4 or 5% and pat each other on the back. So, no, no, it's like, no, we could take advantage of it. Wouldn't it be great if we could take over more market share, 25% market share, or find a way? Now we're virtual, means we could take over different global markets. That's a real thing that people can do.
Hmm.
Let's get behind that. And then all of a sudden, that the bigger the goal, the bigger the thought process and creativity has to be to achieve it, because you can't do it with just what you've achieved so far in the business. So there's that as well. So there's being interested in the environment, there's purpose, and then after that it becomes much more around the step-by-step parts of co-creation, getting people to create things together from different areas of the business. The more diverse you can get the ideas, you now have more access to people than ever before, because all you've got to do is send them a link and all of a sudden I'm in your living room. You know, I cannot tell you how many people I've spoken to that I've never had access to before because they're all too busy. And I have a sales organization I work with, and they always complained about not being able to get meetings, and now they can get 20 minutes with CEOs and CMOs that they never dreamed possible. Now that's something to get excited about. How can we take advantage of that? So the co-creation piece is a huge piece of it, and having genuine connections with people. And I think COVID has helped that, because people are genuinely concerned about each other. We're all affected by the same thing. We have relatedness. We have everyone's been affected by that COVID. So let's talk about it. Let's make a connection. And lastly, we need to put a process around how do we experiment but then execute quickly. So that's the tricky bit. That's the bit where you must have to break some of your project management, putting products into processes. You need to do things much quicker. Can we try a piece of this to see if it would work? What if we just do a small experimental target group to see whether this system's going to work in practice and not cause us more problems than harm? Can we just do, what's the one change in our systems that's going to give us the most benefit? Let's try that first, see how it goes, and then come back together really quick. So iterative learning loops, experimenting, but then executing it. Now I say that as a throwaway comment. All the leaders are listening to this are going to be like, thank you, Michael, for that. It does. I know.
Execution is so easy.
It's just easy. It's just to follow a set process. I'm an entrepreneur. It's not a problem, right? For me, no, it needs steps, but save the double checking and the well, that'll never work mentality, or well, that's got to go through audit first, and say, okay, I know it's got to go through that, but where could we try out first to see if it works? I don't want to go through that whole process and find that we didn't really get much of a return. Could we just try it with a group of people? And in my town, we have the COVID, the rapid test. We have a really great farm. They make biopharma products. So they've turned what's it called? The ultrasound that you go into. They've turned that into something that you can connect to your phone and use on the moment. So they are real experimenters. So imagine if you could at home have a COVID test, but also flu A, flu B, cold, and all the other kind of infection tests. And you could just do that yourself, put it in a machine and at home and talk about the uncertainty. Well, that's what they're developing in our small town in Connecticut. And it's exciting to see them do that. But they have to go through all the regulations. So they've thought, well, how can we still gather the data, but not just go through? So the data, we know what we're putting into the regulatory environment. We know what's happening. So they're doing that. They're just getting people to experiment with it. No harm is coming to anyone. And, at the end of the day, they're going to end up with a much better product, quicker to market than anyone else.